There's a lot of challenges in life that we have to overcome. And in order to overcome them, we have to look within. Today I'm going to talk with you about 5 things that you can do that can help you overcome any single obstacle. If you do these 5 things, I guarantee you that you'll be able to sweep through the oceans of success and see a deeper version of yourself so that you can reach your highest goals. The first tip is to never feel bad about yourself. When you do something and you make a mistake, the tendency is to say to yourself, I messed up, I'm worthless, I can't do it again. And I remember one time this happened to me. It was a hot summer July day and it was over 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I had given a speech to over 200 people and I bombed the speech. I showed up in my black pinstripe suit as I spoke to a whole bunch of farmers. They felt highly uncomfortable. I wasn't in my place and I forgot every single word I had to say. The speech was supposed to be 15 minutes long, but it only lasted for 3 minutes. All I did was mumble and stumble and everyone started coughing and yawning and sneezing. After the speech, I ran up to the host and I told him, don't even bother paying me. I did a horrendous job and I don't deserve any payment from this point on. He said, Daniel, don't worry, I'll still give you the check and I'll still make sure that you do whatever you can to become better moving forward. That day was a life-defining moment, and when I came home, I had to reflect upon the changes that I had to make. I knew that if I wanted to do this on a high level, I had to look within. I had to change my mentality if I wanted to change my reality. And I went to work and I started reading and studying on the highest level. From that moment on, I never made the mistake of going out there unprepared for a speech, and I did whatever it took to be diligent with all my clients. The overall lesson that I learned was that I had to stop running away from myself. I had to deal with certain problems directly. I had to challenge myself and be direct so that I can be able to overcome the obstacle of having the fear of not being myself. That day, I became myself and I dug deep and I was never the same moving forward. The key here is to not feel bad about who you are. There are many times where you will mess up. You will make mistakes. You will have a bad performance. But what you have to do is to take inventory of what you need to change in order to become better. If you want to become a professional on the highest level, there are going to be things that come into your way that you're going to have to confront directly. When you do this and stop feeling bad about yourself, you will reach your highest success. The second tip is to change your life story. There's so many people that carry around baggage for the rest of their lives. They cling on to things that happened 20 years ago. They can't let go of things that happened when they were 7 years old, or something that happened in high school, something that happened on their football team. And they cling on to these stories which holds them back for the rest of their lives. Whenever you tell a negative life story, it doesn't help anyone and no one can really help you to change it. If you're telling people you were a druggie or a felon or a cheater, that's not helping anyone. What you should say is you're doing whatever it takes to change yourself and you have come a long way and things are working out for your benefit. Remember, your story is your brand and your reputation is your best advertisement. If people can only think about the negative parts of you, you're not going to attract success in your life. But if people can think about the positivity that you bring to the table, then people are going to be attracted to you and want to do business with you. Whenever you're confronted in a conversation with someone else, make sure you tell them a positive life story. Make sure you're energized and you make them feel good, because this can build your confidence and this can help you bridge the gap so that you can understand others and others can understand you. The third tip is to not beat yourself up. There's a lot of people who are trying to be perfectionists, and when they don't turn out something that is perfect, they get so mad at themselves and they beat themselves up. For instance, I know a woman who was working on a website and her launch date was in 2 months. Because her website wasn't finished, she kept on beating herself up and she kept on trying to manipulate her website so it would be as perfect as possible. To this day, her website still isn't launched, and this was 2 years ago. There's a lot of people that beat themselves up in every area of life. They beat themselves up for their religion because they cannot be spiritual enough. Or they beat themselves up for their diet just because they can't lose a little fat on their stomach. or they beat themselves up because the book that they're writing doesn't come out exactly perfect and doesn't match 40,000 words, which is 200 pages. It's a great attitude to strive for perfection, but what you want to do is to work on what you can do right now so that eventually you can develop what it is that you're working on so that it can eventually be perfect. There's a lot of people that will tell you you can't be perfect, but what I'm telling you is that you need to get your quantity up before you get your quality out. Here's what I mean. I've written hundreds of articles on the internet, but I can tell you for my first 10 articles, it really wasn't that good. But it was good enough. It was good enough to help several people, and it did. I remember when I sent out those articles, people said, "Daniel, this is good. Daniel, this is helpful." But deep down, I was thinking to myself, there are some typos out there, and it isn't exactly perfect. But it didn't matter. Eventually, I got better, and I typed out 50 articles, which reached thousands of people, then 100 articles, which reached millions of people. What you need to do is to keep on working on what you do and become the best at it so that eventually people will say, "This product is perfect. This is a perfect job." There's a woman that approached me the other day and she asked me, "Daniel, how do you get on the big magazines? You've written for many big publications and I want to be able to produce just like you. What should I do?" I asked her, "How many articles did you actually publish?" She said 0. I asked her, "What are you waiting for?" She said, "I have to make it perfect. I edit them all the time." And I asked her, "How long have you been working on these articles?" She said, 2 years. I said, "You've been working on 5 articles for 2 years?" She said, "Yes." I said, "I published over 200 articles in less than 2 years. You have to get these 5 articles out and you will start to produce on a higher level. But people need to read what you have if you want them to understand what you have to give them." The key here is that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. You have to get started if you want to make an impact. Even if you don't feel like your work is going to be accepted by the masses, and it won't, you have to get started. You have to put it out there and see how the world interacts with what you have to give it. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just put your work out there and see what happens. You're going to get feedback, and that feedback is going to help you to adjust so you can make it better. And eventually, you might become that perfectionist you want it to be. The 4th tip to overcome any life obstacle is to stop comparing yourself with others. Do you know that comparison is the thief of joy? And when you say to yourself that I want to be like him or her, you're actually robbing yourself of who you were meant to be. What you need to do is to accept responsibility over what you have. You have to take what you get what you want. Instead of competing, you need to create. You need to install your own faith and understand that you have everything you need in order to succeed. Stop looking at other people and trying to be like them and be yourself first. Create your own product, your own brand, your own fortitude, and you will become distinct as soon as you start creating. In every single industry, we've been taught to compete. In music, in sports, in retail, in every industry, people are trying to be like other people. But the real dominant ones are the ones who create, are the ones who are distinct, are the ones who choose to be different. If you're different, you're going to dominate, but you have to be different and persistent and go all the way with those differences. Recreate yourself and do something in your industry that no one has ever done before. A lot of times, all you have to do is write down some ideas, think differently, and study different industries so you can gain some ideas that you can implement within your own industry. When you do this, you will start to dominate, and people will ask you how you did it. There's a lot of NBA players that will say Michael Jordan is untouchable, he's unreachable, no one can ever be like him. And of course that's true. But if you say to yourself that you can never be like Michael Jordan, you can never be great, you can never be the best in your industry, what you're doing is you're cheating yourself. You're robbing yourself of the victories that you can have, and you're putting yourself under someone else. If you want to dominate, you do have to acknowledge greatness, but you do have to understand that you do have what it takes to be the best as well. Study the best and learn from them and duplicate it in your own format so that you can create something the world has never seen. The fifth tip is to never doubt yourself. There's a lot of times where you will have momentum, and there are other times where you will feel discouraged. Discouragement is the greatest enemy. And what you have to do is to take that discouragement and feed yourself with actual truths. When you become discouraged, what actually happens is that there are lies placed within your mind, within your heart, that is trying to prohibit you from becoming who you were called to be. Researchers and philosophers have said that there's a chaos in our lives every 45 days. Now, when this happens and when something hard really comes in our path, we have to be able to embrace it and learn from those adversities instead of allowing it to destroy us and what we were planning to do. When times get gloomy, what you need to do is to look within in that very moment and ask yourself what needs to be changed right now. It could be a diet, it could be an exercise plan, it could be maybe writing in your journal, it could be calling a friend. Do whatever it takes to get within yourself and install faith. Remember, when you feed your faith, your fears will starve to death. When you feed your faith, doubts will disappear and uncertainties will never have their way with you. Believe in yourself and everyone else in the world will believe in you. If you follow these 5 tips, you'll be able to steamroll obstacles and you'll be able to challenge yourself so that you reach the highest level of your success. Believe in yourself and follow through on all you plan to do. Never give up and always stay encouraged. You will reach your goal. If you like what you heard today, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my other social medias as well. If you want to be the best, make sure you keep watching these videos and take notes so that you can be able to perform on the highest level.